Today we'll be taking a look at the V3 Black Edition Thermaltake Mid ATX Case. This is all black. There are two options, one with a side window and the other without. The case is shipped very well. It's a light case, so there's no real problem with it getting damaged in shipping. The front panel is all mesh. The top half has four 3 1/4 drive bays. Four 5 1/4 drive bays. It has a front panel USB 2.0 microphone and headphone audio jacks. There is a small window about 4 inches and a air intake on the side panel. The back has 7 expansion slots, a 120 blue LED fan, and a bottom mounted power supply. Back panel is plain black flat. There are 2 fan spots on the top for a 120mm fan in each. It does not have a good option for water cooling. The bottom has a small bracket that can be released by 2 screws that holds a power supply in place. It's not necessary, but if you want to install a longer power supply, you have to take that out. There is room for a 120mm fan in the bottom in front of the power supply. The front bezel has a power on and off switch and a reset switch on the left side, and the right side there is no switch, but it looks identical to the left side. There's a nice honeycomb shaped pattern in plastic behind the front bezel, but the mesh is not a good air filter. The 5 1/4 inch optical bay covers are dust filtered, but the clips that hold the covers in are really flimsy. I just broke one off here trying to get the covers off. It's a very flimsy plastic, so you're better off taking the bezel right off to be able to get them out of place or take them out. Front panel covers for the optical bays are cheaper than in the Apex Vortex, and I really don't like them as much, but they are filtered, so there is dust filtering there. Again, those clips are very, very flimsy, so there you go. The front panel comes off fairly easily, and there are metal blanks covering up the bottom 3 optical bays. There's room for a 120 or a 92mm fan in the front. It has to be mounted from the inside. It won't fit between the outside of the case and front bezel. On the back, the PCI brackets or expansion slots have a retention plate that screws on to hold the PCI Express cards in place. It's a 2-stage mechanism. There are 2 replaceable covers for PCI slots, one at the very bottom, one at the very top. The rest are blanks that can be removed by bending the metal out. Comes with a manual, screws, speaker for testing. The inside of the case is all black. There are clips for all of the drive bays, so it's completely toolless. There's a dust filter underneath the power supply. The cutout on the motherboard tray is fairly large, but it's offset up and towards the back I/O shield. You're going to have trouble mounting some heat sinks without taking the motherboard off the tray. The layout for the inside of the case is fairly well planned, and there is enough room for cable management behind the drive bays, which are all toolless again. The optical bays don't have a lot of options for routing cables through the back of the case. You'd either have to go around the front, but there is a benefit to having the power on and off switch halfway down the case, because all the cables come out behind the hard drive bays where there's a lot of space to route your cables. There's a couple of options for the power supply cables to be routed through the back of the motherboard tray. The cutout again is offset to the top and towards the back of the case. It is a low budget case. under $40, and in some cases under $30 with a rebate. Compared to the Apex Vortex, I would go with the Apex Vortex compared to a Silverstone Precision that I am reviewing soon. I would say that this is on par, if not slightly better in some cases. This is not a case for water cooling, and it is a very flimsy sort of budget case. Very poor construction. All of the Thermaltake in this price range are fairly poor and all designed off of the same chassis, basically. So there you go. For a $40 budget case, I would say that this one is not as good as the Apex Vortex, and it sits at about the same price range. But you be the judge. This is Daedalus PC.